In this video, we'll discuss the importance and the meaning of the Zeitoun Marian apparitions. Stay tuned. The Blessed Virgin Mary appeared in Zeitoun, Egypt from April 2nd, 1968 to May 29th, 1971. And these apparitions were unlike mystical apparitions where only seers could see her. Everyone who was present, just like at Knock, could see the Blessed Virgin. And it was even televised. Our Blessed Mother would appear 2 to 3 times a week. And one crowd was estimated to be as large as 250,000, including people of different faiths, Muslims and Christians of various denominations. On May 4th, 1968, while these apparitions were still ongoing, the veracity of these apparitions was confirmed by the bishop of the Coptic Orthodox Catholic Church. A delegation was also sent from the Vatican. They left the affirmation to the local bishops as usual. They also returned with a message that these apparitions were legitimate. Besides the appearances of our Blessed Mother, they were also accompanied by holy fragrances, miracles of conversion and healing. And one thing that was rather distinct to this apparition, the appearance of luminous white doves, which would, as the witnesses confirm, fly in formation around the Coptic Church and our Blessed Mother. And some describe them as large enough to be angels. This apparition of our Blessed Mother was not static like a picture, but she appeared as a living, breathing mother of everyone. She was seen to move from place to place. She was described as moving naturally, where her clothing would flow, as well as natural movements of the body. She would kneel and pray in front of the cross atop the Coptic Church. She would smile and bless the crowd. At first, the apparitions of Zeitoun, when they occurred, the reason for them were unclear. And these are apparitions where there's no seer, there's no message. But today, the reason for them and their importance is strikingly obvious. As I mentioned, these apparitions began April 2nd, 1968. What other significant event occurred in April 1968? It was the enactment of a law in England for the legalization of abortion. And understand why these are of particular importance is we need to understand the tradition and the framework of Zeitoun, how it fits in. So at Zeitoun, tradition has it that our Holy Family stopped there for comfort and rest as they flee to Egypt from the slaughter of the innocents perpetrated by Herod. This slaughter of the innocents was the reason and the impetus for the Holy Family stopping at Zeitoun. And the slaughter of the innocents that started in England with the legalization of that illicit and vile law is the impetus for these apparitions at Zeitoun. And as we know in history, this law did not stay just in England, but it spread throughout the world and into many nations. Next would be the United States in 1973, which would do the same. Unfortunately, they were not satisfied with enacting that despicable law in their own country, but they used their influence to spread this iniquity throughout the world. Now, At Fatima, I'd like to point out that our Blessed Mother requested the third secret to be read in 1960. And she was pointing to this time. Also, Our Lady of Good Success specifically mentioned the same time period. Now at Fatima, what our Blessed Mother warned us about was the errors of Russia and the errors of Russia spreading throughout the world. And what is the errors of Russia? It is not the Russian government. It is atheism. It is moral corruption. And when England enacted that despicable law back in 1968, it codified the errors of Russia into that nation, as others have done subsequently. There is another reason for these apparitions to occur at the time that they did. At the time, the small Christian minority in Egypt were being severely persecuted. People were going at night and placing a red cross, painted red cross, on the doors of the Christians that lived there. And it's eerily reminiscent of the time of Moses, the passing of the angel. But unlike that time, our Blessed Mother did not come seeking to punish the Egyptians. Instead of plagues, she came and she blessed them. She prayed with them and she healed them. There's this one story of a Muslim man who was blind, and he was healed at the time. He went into the apparition site in Zeitoun, and during the apparition, he was miraculously cured of his blindness. And he became overwhelmed in his reaction, and he kept saying, "A miracle has happened. A miracle has happened. I can see." Now, this of course brought the attention of the authorities in Egypt as well. As I mentioned, there were thousands of people every night going to these apparitions. And they were also televised and printed in the local newspapers. The authorities investigated, and they searched in a 15-kilometer radius around the Coptic church to see if they could discover any electronic devices. They actually turned the power off. They turned the electricity off. And still, these apparitions occurred. This apparition was also seen subsequently by the president of Egypt, President Nasser. And these apparitions, the reporting of them, they quelled the persecution of the minority Christians in Egypt. This is a perfect place to note that our Blessed Mother is revered by Islam. Muslims view her as the most holy of women. In the Quran, she's mentioned 70 times, more so than in the New Testament. And here are some of the titles that our Blessed Mother is referred to as in the Quran. The woman who submits to God, the woman who prostrates to God, the woman who bows to God, the woman who fasts, the purified, the truthful, the chosen. So the third reason why our Blessed Mother appears in Zeitoun is she's the mother of all, and she is coming for her children. And in the end, these children will also become members of the fold. and it will be done by our Blessed Mother. And I'd like to relate another anecdote. And some people are aware of this, but at Fatima, the name Fatima is the most favored daughter of Muhammad. So even there's a tie-in to Islam. And we can be assured by these facts that our Blessed Mother will bring Christ to the Muslims.